Training camp is finally on the horizon for the Philadelphia Eagles, with the NovaCare complex opening its doors in a little under 2 weeks time. And with that in mind, it's time for us to take a look at some of the most important positional battles across this Eagles roster. Between now and then though, we'll be focusing our attention on some of the biggest battles facing the Eagles this offseason, the guys you need to know about, the guys you may not know about, and the starters who are going to be leading the charge in towards preseason. My name is Liam Jenkins and you're watching Philly Sports Network's coverage of Eagles training camp. But before we get into today's video, make sure that you do leave a like and hit that subscribe button. What do you think about this very battle? Drop your opinions down below in the comments, and of course make sure you visit phillysportsnetwork.com every single day of the week for your daily dose of Philadelphia sports coverage. Let's kick things off with the guys who'll be protecting Carson Wentz throughout 2019. It's the offensive line. We know that both Jason Peters and Lane Johnson return on either end of the bookshelf for another year, and that in itself is important. Peters is coming off his 10th season as a Philadelphia Eagle as he continues his Hall of Fame career at the age of 37. He returned from a torn ACL that he suffered in 2017 to play in a stunning 79% of offensive snaps last year, starting in all 16 games and doing so at a ridiculously high level. There are few who can play at the level Peters can, but the question has always been one of durability, and it's one the Eagles are frankly aware of. It may be the reason why the team finally got Peters to agree to a pay cut, something they've been trying and understandably failing to do for quite some time. But alas, this offseason was a little bit different. As for the other end of the line, Lane Johnson was a little inconsistent through the opening few games of the season before it was revealed he was dealing with a high ankle sprain. He rebounded emphatically and shut guys like Khalil Mack and JJ Watt down, but it wasn't enough to earn the honours he's become accustomed to receiving, thus sparking a fire which may send Lane Johnson back to the top of the tackle rankings in 2019. The starting tandem are easily one of the better duos in the league, and you can make the case that Johnson is the league's best right tackle. But whether it's suspension or injury, the backups have been imperative in keeping the ship afloat when the starters are out of the equation. Halapoulivaati Vaitai has played in at least 33% of snaps every year since being drafted in the 5th round in 2016, but more on his journey a little bit later as it directly correlates to this man. The Eagles drafted Wazoo's Andre Dillard to be the eventual heir to the left tackle throne, but would he be ready to jump into the deep end at a moment's notice? Dillard comes in at 6'5", 306 pounds, but lacked the desired length in his frame coming out of college. Although there are some clear fundamental setbacks in terms of his hand placement etc. as of right now, he plays hard and is extremely athletic for his size and weight, which is something that Jeff Stoutland would covet in a lineman. Given how things stand, Dillard would assume the primary backup role. If Vaitai can be serviceable as a 5th round rookie, I'm sure Dillard would be in a similar situation. Behind Dillard lies Jordan Mailata. The project lineman stunned the world in preseason last year where he played his first ever football game, and his size and rugby athleticism are more than just raising the eyebrows at 6'8", 346 pounds. Mailata could be the future swing tackle if he can continue to develop on this team, but this will be our first chance to get a proper look at Mailata since that August showcase last season, so expect plenty of film comparisons and breakdowns here at Philly Sports Network. Of course, there are some other interesting names to keep an eye on further down the depth chart. Ryan Bates, for instance, is as versatile as they come and is considered an undrafted free agent steal by many. Bates showed off his versatility by playing both ends of the offensive line during his time at Penn State, and as another alumni from that school on this team, Bates helped a dominant rushing attack flourish and brings a slightly more agile frame at 6'4", 302 pounds and athletic profile to the table. It would not be surprising to see him shift inside and maybe compete for a potential depth guard role given his surprising mobility and leaner frame. A lack of length could be a concern at the next level if he does remain at tackle, but his burst and hand placement could really be enhanced if played inside, which leads us very nicely to that position. Brandon Brooks is one of the best interior guards in the NFL, but after suffering an Achilles tear in the Eagles' playoff loss to New Orleans, it remains unknown whether or not he'll be ready for Week 1. He was seen rehabbing on the sideline at OTAs, which is a positive sign of encouragement, but the Birds need an insurance policy. At left guard, Isaac Seumalo will likely quickly enter his first full season as a starter, after Wisniewski was puzzlingly benched during the early stages of the 2018 season after some shoddy play all across the offensive line. Seumalo took the reins and never looked back, ranking 38th out of 88 guards according to Pro Football Focus. He signed an extension this offseason, so the Eagles are obviously high on the versatile Oregon product, who just last offseason was taking snaps at backup centre behind Jason Kelce, sailing snaps over Nate Sudfeld's head. As for who will replace Brandon Brooks in an emergency, it appears as though Big V here has the upper hand. Vaitai has seemingly transitioned to guard after congestion following the drafting of Andre Dillard and assumed first team reps over Stefan Wisniewski, who was brought back during the offseason. The two will duke it out for top honours at right guard or the primary backup spot, but behind them, the battles heat up even more. TCU's Matt Pryor is now competing with his former college running mate in Big V and didn't play a single snap as a rookie. However, the Eagles have loved what they saw last offseason out of the big dancing bear, who, like many, has versatility on his side along with a sizable frame. Breathing down his neck though will be Nate Herbig, who was paid a handsome sum as an undrafted free agent. At 6'3", 336 pounds, Herbig has a dominant frame, but like Matt Pryor, has a stunning amount of agility considering his size. He's not the most consistent lineman and would often look a little out of it in comparison to more of his urgent teammates, but when he's on, you can see why the Eagles like him. He has a stout base, plays with a lot of power, and has a strong ability to anchor. He could be a leading candidate in this interior guard free-for-all. Then there's Sua Opeta, a former defensive tackle. This small school sleeper stands at 6'4", 305 pounds and was named an FCS All-American in back-to-back seasons, starting every game at that span at left tackle. A dominant combine performer, Opeta could really benefit from adding some meat to his 6'4", 301 pound frame, and while he doesn't have the technical fundamentals that some of the other names in this list do, he has every other box ticked. Opeta could be a leading practice squad candidate. Finally, onto centre. The Eagles re-signed arguably the best centre in the league in Jason Kelce during the offseason, removing the immediate pressure to find a successor. Kelce is an unquestioned leader along the offensive line and a truly once-in-a-lifetime talent who is not only invaluable to the continued growth of Carson Wentz, but the run game as well, something the Eagles have put a really heavy focus on over the last few months. There may be no better centre in the league at getting to the second level than Jason Kelce, and he'll be absolutely unrivaled by anyone in the NFL as long as he's playing football. It's stunning that Kelce accomplishes all this while battling plantar fasciitis and some other injuries, and one of the names on this list as someone that could be one day a viable backup is Keegan Render. This 6'4", 307 pound centre is versatile and comes out of a pro-style offense, which is immediately a plus for the Eagles. He's got frantically fast hand movement, and while his footwork can get away from him at times, he has the IQ and impressively maintains blocks consistently when in pass protection. For now, we can group Render with the other offensive linemen in this crop who could be deking it out for backup roles, with versatility again being a real ace up his sleeve after playing both guard spots as well as centre during his time at Iowa. But the real wild card here is expecting a guard to transition, whether it be Seumalo due to experience leaving Wiz at the starting left guard spot, or Wisniewski himself moving inside as someone that has taken snaps at centre during his time at Oakland and Jacksonville. The Eagles are stacked with versatility, and one of those names should be a shoo-in to take the backup centre reins at least during training camp and preseason. In terms of what to watch though, all eyes will of course be on Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata, but for very different reasons. I'm also intrigued to see where names like Ryan Bates and Matt Pryor can end up. Can they throw the cat among the pigeons and force themselves into the final 53 equation? Will Vaitai successfully transition inside and become the primary backup guard? Only time will tell, but what I find absolutely fascinating though is that anyone can look at this Eagles offensive line, who are bringing back the same 5 starters from their Super Bowl 52 win in 2017, and say that once more they're one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Maybe not the best, but certainly in the conversation to start the year if they can overcome some of those concerns lingering from 2018. But even on a team where the offensive line starters are that good, where they're that dominant, there are still so many questions, still so much to consider, and plenty of spots to battle for the younger guys on the roster. But what do you think, guys? Let me know down in the comments. Who are you rooting for this offseason? Is there an underdog that you want to see make the final roster? Drop your comments, and also let me know what you want to see focused on. Would you like to see more stuff on cornerbacks? I know that video went down quite well. Maybe safety, maybe it's going to be linebacker or even quarterback, but let me know so I can bring you guys the content content you're wanting to see and maybe not finding elsewhere. From myself, Liam Jenkins, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this video. We'll be back very soon with some more training camp previews, but until then, you can follow me at Liam Jenkins PSN and catch all of my work at phillysportsnetwork.com. Your daily dosage of Philadelphia sports content is just waiting for you to read it.